made sense to me, it was going to make sense to other people. So when you're crafting your story, I realized that when somebody decides to purchase Juice Plus, it really is an intellectual decision and not an emotional decision. And so getting into that art of conversation and the dance in asking good questions, I realized that it's you want it to be their idea and not your idea. So this actually is very freeing because it takes the pressure off of the sales part of what people get so nervous about. I can, so many people have said to me when, they like the idea of having their own little business, but the idea of sales, putting their sales hat on scares people to death because, you always think of sort of salespeople as, being pushy or, whatnot. And, the way that we share Juice Plus, if you're doing it the right way and putting your heart out there and asking really good questions, it does take it takes that pitchiness off of it. So I liken it to being a farmer versus a hunter, right? Because nobody likes to be hunted. And so if you go around and just start asking questions and just having some clarifying conversations with people, it becomes quite simple, really, in this skill set that you start to learn about, how to weave the beauty and the simplicity of what we have around somebody's need. So I like to think of it as like a savings account, a bank savings account. You wouldn't go and take money, out of the bank before you had made a deposit. And that's how I look at conversations, so that when I'm talking to somebody, that I know or I don't know, I want to find out, more about them and about what makes them tick and, what are they thinking about. And once I do that and ask some questions, then I can tell my story a little bit more. So we don't want to just come right out with our story. We want to, get to know people a little bit and what they're thinking about. And then we can weave our story into the conversation. So there are just really three simple, questions when you have, not a question, but three simple statements when you're talking to somebody that you first, the way I learned how to do my story is I first heard about Juice Plus from ... And you want to make your story relevant and personal, but not so personal that somebody else can't relate to it. So my story is about my kids, my son who had attentional issues in school, and he had dyslexia and ADHD. And I don't go into that too much with people because I'm thinking, well, maybe somebody can't really relate to that, because what if they don't have kids with any attentional issues in school? Even though it's my personal story, I don't focus too long on that. I really focus on more of that frustration that I couldn't get my kids to eat the rainbow, diet of fruits and vegetables that I put in front of them every day. And I think almost every parent in the universe can relate to that. And then once I tell that story, and then I'll put it back and ask a question to them and get them talking a little bit more. So it's just getting into a little bit of the dance of conversation. And once you do that, it starts to become, more fun for people. So I would love some input from any of my speakers or anybody else if people have questions or what, what they remember when they first heard about Juice Plus and what resonated with them, because it might help people on the line get started. Anybody chime in?
Out there?
I just have a question. Is there,
Yeah.
do you have like any tips on art in recruiting your, well, not recruiting, but I mean, how do you not be too pushy, but at the same time, try to educate someone about the benefits of the product as opposed to making it seem as though you're about a sale? Because
Right.
for me personally, I'm very passionate about health and wellness, and that's how I approach people. But then I'm not too skilled with the selling part of it. I want them to be, from my story or from what I know, as I'm in the medical field as well, or healthcare field, I should say. I want them to know that it is important, but I don't push the sales part. I feel I am a bit timid with that. If they seem inclined, then I'll go with it.
Yep. Thank you, Denise. That's a great question. And one of the greatest things I think that the company did was have these amazing doctors and now when I first started, literally they were on a tape, and then it went to a CD. And I asked people, would you be open to hearing a doctor speak about, something, or, now we have links and things like that. So I find it really effective to use that third party validation to have a health professional, another health professional, so that power of two to convince a third, and get them the information in their hands, and then following up to see what they liked best about the information. So the more you can keep the conversation going, the more you're going to find out about that person, and it becomes easier. I think that when we're nervous and we don't know where to go, we haven't asked enough questions. And this business, when I look back at how much time I look at all my customers, and the customers that I've educated kind of the most and connected with and done that work up front are the people that have lasted for years and years on the product. They've become a long time solidified customer. So, be patient. I guess what I'm saying is be patient with the process of customer acquisition. And it is a skill, talking to people, and just be patient with that. And don't even maybe think right about trying to make the sale. Just think about having conversations with people naturally, organically, and just go out and practice, and you'll get better at it for sure. Yeah. Anybody else have a question or comment?
Yeah.
Or something to add?
Lolli, I really.
Oh, I think you're muted, Yvonne.
I don't know what happened.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can now.
What has worked for me is a lot of what you said, because I'm not a salesperson, or I didn't think I am, but in coaching people throughout my profession as a nursing educator, I found that to be able to coach people, you have to show them that you love them. You have to show them that you care for them. And what I've found is, in sharing it, I talk about what I've learned from the product, and I never go towards this to the sale of it. I talk about the product and say, like, how it's made me feel. And even at the very beginning, like the excitement of learning about this, because I learned from Cindy, and about the product. And I, as a nurse, I researched the content and everything too. So I knew it was something good. And so I always give people, like, even when I introduce it to Denise, I think I just told her, there's something I really want to tell you about that I'm using, and I leave it alone. And then they will come back. Some, you have to follow up with. I'm not saying you don't follow up. Some you have to follow up with. But what I have learned is be patient.
Yep. And
Yeah,
that's great,
that is true.
Yvonne, too,
Yeah.
because the less you say, I like how you do that. Oh, I want to tell you about something, it kind of leaves it like, there's a little excitement, like that
Yeah.
there's more.
Yeah.
But you're not fire hosing them with information.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that all of us have, I certainly did in the beginning, you tell people too much because you're so excited,
Yeah.
and there's so much, and you fire hose people, and they kind of look at you with crossed eyes and go, oh boy, okay, I told too much. But we have a great saying in this business: you have to be bad to get better. And you're gonna you're gonna stumble, but that's part of the learning. I mean, when we learned to crawl before we started to learn to walk and to run, and that's just life. That's the way it is. It's getting uncomfortable and learning. If you can embrace that, you'll have wins. You'll have lots of wins.
Lolli, do you mind if I'm so impressed with these two women who just joined my team. They're amazing. But I think one thing that for them that I can see that happened, because I feel like that's what I did, is getting on the calls and listening. We have so much education. And when you hear from other people and how they talk about Juice Plus and the stories tonight and the passion, it lights a fire in you to say, oh my God, this is so exciting. I have to share it, and you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it's Gretchen Comstock who says, she's like, I'm a kindergarten teacher and it's fruits and vegetables. It's not, there's research behind it, and there's, a lot of science and all of that, but you don't have to be a rocket scientist to explain this. We all need more fruits and veggies. So break it down to the simplicity of it, and, and get excited when people hear your excitement. That does shift things.
Right. And there was probably several conversations with Yvonne before,
No, not with that one. She knew. She knew.
Right.
But not everyone does.
Exactly. Yeah. Be patient with the process.
Half an hour.
Yeah. There you go. You were ready.
Well, she showed me where I could go.
Right.
Where it could improve my health, and even from the business side, where I could go. That's what you have to do with people. Show them, like I have a saying, I think I put it on Facebook. If you want to teach people to build a ship, don't just teach them how to gather the wood. Teach them to appreciate the immensity of the sea. So you show them where they can get, and then you go backwards to all the education about the product. But immediately with Cindy, it's about healthcare and not sick care. And I said, okay, what do I do?
That's great. Well, yeah. So just, in closing, the reason that we tell our stories is because one reason is that you won't say too much. If you know what your story is and it's short and concise, then you won't say too much. So that's why, I love this formula. My story, very short. I heard about Juice Plus from a trusted friend. It made sense to me because my kids were not eating the fruits and vegetables I put in front of them. And all I heard was food, and it was free for my son on a health study if I sponsored him. And since I've added it to my diet, we've been sleeping better, eating better. We're only going to the doctor for our well visits. So, that's the kind of thing. It's just short and concise. So if you can get your story down to an economy of words and just write it out and send it to your sponsor, who sponsored you in this business, and they'll help you just hone down those words. And anything that's not important, to put in there that's just fluff or filler, take it out. Just get it just very concise. And I had several iterations of my story, and I find that I just make it shorter and shorter so that I can ask more questions of people and get the information quickly into their hands and follow up. Following up is the most important thing, because if we give them a gift of the information, we want to be professional and make sure that we follow up. So that's what we say. The fortune is in the follow up. So we've been almost an hour now. So I think if nobody has any questions, I think we'll probably wrap it up.
Lolli,
Yes, Edie.
this is Edie. I just wanted, let's see, I don't have my video on. I just wanted to encourage you to include something about the wonderful element of synchronicity that oftentimes people learn about Juice Plus at a time in their lives when they really need it. And, when I learned about Juice Plus, the person overheard a conversation. So that's a great tip, listening. She overheard me say that we had some money concerns. She didn't know that I was a health professional. She didn't know that I was interested in, that I love to cook and loved, healthy food. And she didn't know that I had heard 4 years before in another passing conversation that you could be quite successful with Juice Plus as a business. She didn't know any of that, but the universe was looking out for us both, I felt, and that happened. So I just wanted to put in a word for people to feel brave. You never know. And when we hear this, the talks by the people who have reached the top level, the national marketing director, and they tell their stories, many of them learned about Juice Plus at a time when it would be so helpful in their life. It was really like a godsend. So I love to include that, to encourage people to be brave in mentioning it.
Edie, I think that's a perfect way to end this. And it's so true. We have that old adage, timing is everything in life. And that's such a beautiful example of that. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. That was great.
I just had one quick question if you guys have time.
Sure,
Can
Karina.
you see me?
Yes,
Hi.
Karina, yep.
Hi, my name's Karina Stone. I just reached SC with the Juice Plus company, and I just wanted to pick your guys' brains and see if you know or have any pointers on how to grow your team, how to get not people only signed up. I've mastered that part, but getting people to join your team and do that in a successful way.
Yes. So anybody want to take that? I mean, I've got some good tips. I mean, you're going to have lots of people that come in, and some do a little, some do nothing, and a few will do a lot. And so it really is the numbers of people and timing. Somebody can come into your business and do nothing for 2 years or 3 years, and they'll just watch what you do. And if you just continue on and love them where they are and just keep them in the loop, then they may come around, or they may find somebody that you don't even know that comes into your business through a referral from them.
Okay.
So
And
it's
Lolli,
it's a
I was
number.
going to add.
Yeah, Josh.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I was going to add to that, because I actually have a real life scenario just like that. Carol Turnbow, who has just shown up and been a phenomenal leader in this business, dependable and just consistent as they come. Karina actually had recruited a doctor that I thought was going to set the world on fire. He went to sales coordinator very quickly inside of a fast track timeline. And then he just vanished. I mean, he didn't vanish, he did the slow fade, right? But in that process, he recruited a woman by the name of Carol Turnbow. And Carol Turnbow next month is going to go senior sales coordinator. And Carol Turnbow is here to stay. And so many times, no matter how bad we want a person to be successful, If they don't want it for themselves, you know, I was going to compliment you, Lolli, on something that I think is so powerful, being concise and to the point with your story. That dexterity that you have developed has come from years and years of telling it and doing it. And it's like you said, man, you got to get bad before you're good. You're never going to be good at anything if you're not willing to look pretty silly and stupid for a period of time. So your ability to manipulate and tell that story in a short fashion is a real indication of your ability to just keep going, probably when it didn't go that well. But Karina, just, you know, you got to keep recruiting people. You got to keep putting people on application. I wish everybody wore a sign around their neck, you know, and said, yo, I'm an SC, I'm an NMD, I'm going to be a distributor customer, but the signs don't exist. And sometimes probably the hardest part of this deal in the beginning is just to keep going, keep putting people on application, and understand that the people that are supposed to be here, they'll be here and they'll keep doing it forever. And everybody else is just kind of coming and going to a degree. So Lolli, I'll turn it back over to you.
Well said. Very, very well said. Does that help, Corinna, I hope?
Yes, thank you guys so much.
Karina, think about it. You were recruited that way. I met Carly and then met you, and Carly is not here and you're here and you're a sales coordinator. So
Yeah,
you got to keep going through the numbers. You're doing a good job. So I love you and we're all proud of you.
thank you, babe.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations too on getting to sales coordinator.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. All right, everybody. Well, we're about at time and such a pleasure to see everybody. And let's go out there and get some people healthy.
Let's do it. Thank you, Lolli. We appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely.
Great job,
Thanks,
everybody.
Carol.
Great.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks, Carol.
Bye.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. Thanks.
Thanks, Lolli.
Yes, you all were wonderful.